Disney's latest ship, the Disney Treasure, has officially arrived. But the cruise news doesn't stop there. We're diving into some unexpected updates with Princess Cruises, a somber end to one Royal Caribbean cruise, and Carnival's new holiday decoration schedule. Whether you're planning your next cruise or just staying in the loop, let's get into this week's latest in cruising. Ahoy, travelers! It's Amy here with your weekly Cruise News Roundup and my thoughts on some of the biggest stories of the week. Another ship hits the high seas as the Disney Treasure has officially joined Disney's fleet. Arriving early from the Meyer Werft shipyard in Papenburg, Germany, this 144,000 gross ton vessel was handed over on October 24th, 6 days ahead of schedule. Now, it's been a quick journey for the Disney Treasure. Her steel was cut in January of 2023, and she recently passed her sea trials in the North Sea with flying colors. Navigating the tight turns of the Ems River to reach the open ocean was no small feat. This is always a big thing for cruise ships to have to do if they are built there in Papenburg, Germany. But the Disney Treasure handled it seamlessly, hitting every milestone along the way. Meyer Werft's CEO Bernd Eickens shared his excitement, saying, "We are very happy to hand over the Disney Treasure to Disney Cruise Line today. She is the newest milestone in our long-standing partnership, and everyone at Meyer Werft has put a lot of effort and passion into the Disney Treasure." So the countdown to her maiden voyage is on. Are you a Disney fan? Do you have plans to go on the Treasure? Now, I'm not enough of a Disney fan to be spending that kind of money on their cruises. Disney lost a lot of its appeal to me shortly after it peaked with films like Little Mermaid and Beauty and the Beast. Now, I used to collect all the movies back in the day on VHS. Back in those days when they would have these advertisements that they were releasing them for a limited time. They were coming out of the vault. Things like Cinderella, Snow White, those old movies. Used to have them all. And now all those tapes are in the dump somewhere, and you could just stream them on Disney+. As a Gen Xer, my life has consisted of way too much replacing of media, VHS to DVD, to Blu-ray, to downloads, to streamings, and cassette tapes, to CDs, to MP3s, to streaming. It's just a little frustrating. Unfortunately, our next news report brings us some sad news from the Bahamas. After more than 15 hours of searching just north of Nassau, the search for a woman who went overboard from Royal Caribbean's Allure of the Seas was called off. The Royal Bahamas Defense Force led the search alongside the U.S. Coast Guard, but announced on Thursday that they suspended the active search unless new information were to emerge. Now, the incident happened around 9:40 p.m. on Tuesday, October 22nd. The Allure of the Seas immediately stopped and launched search efforts. Her sister ship, Utopia to Seas, was nearby and also came to join in on and help. Now, they searched alongside local authorities, both in the air and on the water, covering an area of about 17 miles. Now, while water temperatures near Nassau are around 80 degrees Fahrenheit this time of the year, that means hypothermia isn't an immediate concern, but exhaustion is still always an issue. Despite the delay, Allure of the Seas remained on track with its itinerary and returned to Miami on Friday. And Allure of the Seas was on a 4-night cruise to the Bahamas. It was carrying a large group of Taylor Swift fans on a theme sailing known as the Swifties Cruise. Now, I'm not 100% sure what happened in this case. There's been some talk that she intentionally jumped overboard, but this is a good time to remind everyone that people don't just fall overboard by accident. Ships are designed so that cruisers can't just lose their balance and then topple over a balcony railing. Those railings are way too high for that. Man overboards are either intentional or have some kind of bad decision-making behind them, like too much alcohol or taking selfies in dangerous locations. There really aren't near as many of them as it may seem. It's just that every time there is one, it really makes the news. Of course, our thoughts and prayers go out to the family of this woman. So how would you feel if your cruise was canceled just 2 days before embarkation? Cruisers set to board the Regal Princess received the disappointing news that their October 27th Western Caribbean cruise was canceled due to technical issues just 2 days prior to embarkation. So yesterday, October 25th, Princess Cruises contacted affected passengers to let them know that their trip wasn't going forward. The cruise line's message read, "We deeply regret to inform you that due to unforeseen technical work needed for Regal Princess, we must cancel your upcoming voyage. We appreciate your understanding and regret any disappointment this causes." And I am sure it caused a lot of disappointment. The 3,560 guest ship is currently on her way to her new winter home port in Galveston, Texas from Southampton, UK. Now, this voyage would have marked her first of many Western Caribbean sailings from Galveston. Not all guests were happy with their compensation of a full refund and a 25% future cruise credit. The line is also covering non-refundable airfare change fees up to $200 per person. Now, some are saying that a 25% future cruise credit isn't enough for a last-minute cancellation when many have had that cruise booked for well over a year. Now, while Princess Cruises hasn't specified exactly what's wrong with the Regal Princess, it seems the ship's current voyage has had a few bumps along the way. Now, although unconfirmed, issues impacting the ongoing transatlantic cruise from Southampton, England may be at least partly behind those latest technical difficulties. So the current sailing has dealt with a fire in the engine room at the end of September and a power outage just a few days ago. It's unknown if the two are related, but some claim that the ship has been operating on backup generators since the fire. So with the line remaining quiet on the extent of the damage from the fire and what exact technical repairs are needed to be made, it's unknown how long the ship will be out of service. However, the November 3rd sailing is still currently scheduled to sail as planned. In other Princess news, booze, cruises, and Blake Lively are coming together. Princess Cruises is adding Blake Lively's Betty Booze and Betty Buzz to its Loveline Premier Liquors collection, rolling them out across all 16 ships in the fleet over the next few months. The president of Princess Cruises, John Paget, said Blake's commitment to high-quality drinks made with clean ingredients aligns with our goals of delivering top-notch experiences rooted in passion and authenticity. By adding Betty Booze and Betty Buzz, we're giving our guests something fresh and new with drink options that support modern, active lifestyles. So Betty Booze offers low-alcohol, ready-to-drink canned cocktails, while Betty Buzz features gluten-free, non-alcoholic sparkling sodas and mixers. Both will be available in the Princess Plus and Princess Premier packages. Now, I'm not sure why anyone would use the word buzz in the name of a line of non-alcoholic drinks, because no one's going to be getting buzzed without that alcohol. But Blake's line of drinks has garnered a lot of attention on social media, but it's not all just due to her status as a well-known actress married to a very well-known actor, as the brand has received over 60 industry awards and is available in over 8,000 locations nationwide. Have you ever tried any of Blake's drinks, any of the Betty Buzzes or Betty Boozes? Let me know. Big news out of New Orleans. The port is about to set a new record for annual cruise passengers since the pandemic. So by the end of 2024, they're expected to see 1.3 million cruise passengers move through the port, thanks to both ocean-going and river ships. So hitting 1.3 million this year also means that cruises will account for more than 15% of the port's annual revenue. And it's not just the port benefiting, the city's getting a boost too, with around 90% of cruise travelers coming in from other states. Now, that means around 70% of them are sticking around for pre- or post-cruise stays. I don't know if you do that. We really don't. We actually, when we sail out of New Orleans, we stay in a hotel north of the Pontchartrain. I'm not a big fan of staying in New Orleans. It's not the safest city, and the hotels are very expensive to find one in a good location. Plus, I've already done the New Orleans vacation thing back when I was in my 20s. But all of this is adding up to around 300,000 hotel room nights and at about $125 million for local businesses. So for cruisers, New Orleans is a solid launch point, especially for Western Caribbean cruises. Right now, Carnival Cruise Line, Royal Caribbean, and Norwegian Cruise Line all have ships sailing from there. Have you ever sailed out of New Orleans? The Port of New Orleans is our closest port at 9 miles away. So we, like I've said, have sailed out of there several times. Now, in related news, it looks like 2024 is on track to break some major records for the entire cruise industry. According to Trip.com, bookings have jumped by an incredible 344% from January to October of this year compared to that of 2023. And it's not just regional cruising. Travelers are flying to far-flung ports in huge numbers, with international reservations up a jaw-dropping 520%. We were among those in 2024 who were cruising overseas for the first time. Now, millennials in their 30s and 40s are showing an 857% spike in bookings. Gen Z isn't far behind with 450% increase. Now, this is proving that cruises are not just for older travelers anymore. And it's great for the cruise industry, as that means that these people will be cruising for many more decades. Gen X, that's my generation, their bookings are up around 400%, and boomers have an increase in their bookings by 112%. Now, this new wave of younger cruisers, great news for the industry. Like I said, if they're falling in love with cruising now, then they're going to be sailing for years to come. Christmas is right around the corner. Yes, I know Halloween is actually right around the corner, but even my local Tractor Supply has already put their Halloween decor on sale for 50% off and has moved on to Christmas. Anyway, speaking of Christmas, Carnival has adjusted its Christmas cruise schedule after multiple customers complained when the original was posted in September by John Heel. The other day, I posted a schedule of the Christmas decorating dates for our ships. I received a few comments from people who were not happy, and so I have deleted that and asked my colleagues with the entertainment department to speak with our professional decorators to see if it is possible to make a few changes. I wonder if I should start doing John Hill's comments in a British accent. Maybe in the future. So the new schedule means extra holiday sailings, with most ships having all of their December sailings decorated for Christmas. Of course, there are going to be some Scrooges out there who don't want the ship decorated until the week of Christmas so that they can avoid the holidays. But what do you say? Do you think cruise ships should be decorated for Christmas by December? Let me know. I think that it's nice that cruisers can enjoy a Christmas cruise without needing to book it during the week of Christmas. I would love to go on a Christmas cruise, and maybe will sometime in the future. But since we can never convince the entire family to go, I've got a niece especially who is terrified of the water. I wouldn't want to do that during the actual holidays because I want to spend the holidays with my family. So this week has been a pretty unremarkable week for me, so I don't have a lot to say. Although I did finally finish my 100th book for the year. I think I've done 102. So I have tried in the past to read 100 books in a year, but that was back when I was teaching, and every year I would get to around 90 books just as my classes started on their research papers. I usually would start them sometime around November. So at that point, I had zero free time. It's already hard as an English teacher to find free time because you have so much grading to do, so many grading of papers to do. Think about it. A good English teacher is going to make you write. That's the reality of it. And even if they're only writing, you only have your classes write a one-page paper, that's 80 to 100 one-page papers that you have to read. So it's just never enough time. And there definitely wasn't any time to hit that goal of 100 books. Well, this year, I finally hit that goal, and I hit it well before the end of the year. Actually, at the beginning of the year, I had set a goal of 75 books. I haven't really read a lot in several years. So I was like, okay, if I can do 75, I'm doing really good. But I passed that sometime back in the summer. I keep track on both Goodreads and Storygraph. I just started using Storygraph this year, but I like how it lays out all of my reading statistics. So I read only digital books. I love my Kindle. And this year I have basically stuck to romantic fantasy, or romantasy as a lot of people call it. And most, if not all, were actually series. I read a couple series that were very long, actually. And almost all of those books were over 300 pages, but a lot of them are over 500. Anybody who reads romantasy will know what I'm talking about. Many books are well into the 600, 700, even 800, 900 page length books. And that's what I like. I love long books, and I love them to be in a series. If I'm going to do all this world building and jump into a fantasy world, I want to stay in it for a while. I think the short ones that I read were mostly books that were part of these series, and they were just like little additional books that gave you a little extra insight into like different people's lives. So I'm not planning on slowing down anytime soon. So it's going to be interesting to see how many books I finish by the end of the year. I don't even really want to take a guess, but I got 2 more months. So I think my statistics say that I read about 3 books. I read a book every 3 days. So I guess you can do the math. Are you a reader? If so, what is your favorite genre? Well, are you ready for more information on cruising? Why not stick around and check out this video and then come back for more information designed to help you have an amazing cruise. Have a blessed week, everyone.